What do you think of when you picture an average college experience? Probably tons of alcohol, wild parties, and the occasional trashy hookup, right? I've had my fair share of all that, sure. But my college experience has been anything but average, and it's all thanks to a strange list of rules that my dorm administered. Thanks for helping me get my stuff moved in. You really didn't have to do that. What's your name again, by the way? Sorry, my short-term memory is kinda shit. Anytime, man. I figured if we're gonna be living together for the rest of the year, it couldn't hurt to help you out a bit. The name's Josh. Nice to meet you. Again, he said, extending his hand. Definitely. I'm Clayton, in case you forgot, I replied, accepting his handshake. Well, Clayton, how's it feel to officially be a college freshman? Pretty cool, huh? I mean, I guess. I'd feel a lot cooler right now if I'd started in the fall like everybody else. Kinda. Hey, new kid on the block. Welcome. A boy who appeared to be about my age had seemingly materialized out of thin air, nonchalantly leaning against our open door. He sported an old-school Justin Bieber cut, you know the one I'm referring to, along with a black long-sleeve Nirvana shirt and ripped jeans. Something felt off about him, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Thanks. It's, nice to meet you. What's... Josh, have you gone over the list with him yet? I glanced over to my new roommate, slightly perturbed at our visitor's repeated interruptions. Nice to see you too, Bryson. I'll do it later. The guy just got the last of his things moved. At least give him a chance to settle in. Bryson shot him a death glare. His entire aura exuded a malevolence that I'd never felt the likes of in my entire life. The sheer depravity of it sent a chill undulating down my spine. Or now. Now is good, Josh conceded, standing from his bed and ushering me into the hallway. Hey, what gives? I hissed into Josh's ear as I hesitantly followed behind the pair. You'll find out. Gee, thanks, Captain Obvious. Bryson led us to a bulletin board in the common area. He dramatically pointed to it, his deep frown somehow even more pronounced than before. Josh, you know what to do. If I find out that you didn't explain everything to him, I know. You'll give me cement shoes and toss me in the river. Save your empty threats for the next guy, Josh retorted, pursing his lips. Bryson narrowed his beady eyes on Josh, his hands balled into fists. He gave him the once-over before ultimately deciding that it wasn't worth the trouble. Okay, I'll leave you to it then, Bryson huffed, stomping away. Believe it or not, he's actually in a pretty good mood today, Josh said once Bryson was out of earshot. Really? I'd hate to get on his bad side then. What was that all about anyway? Josh sighed. Bryson is our RA, resident advisor, if you're not familiar with the lingo. He's in charge of going over the dorm rules with you, but I told him I'd do it instead. He'll get in huge trouble if you're not familiar with them, which is why he just graced us with his presence. Got it. Explain away, I guess. They're pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. They really only do this for the knuckleheads who can barely read. You can read, right? Yes, I can read. Great. So take a look over the rules and ask me if there's anything you get confused about. I'd recommend taking a picture of them if you've got your phone on you. Bryson might be an ass, but he's right about one thing. You need to read over these very carefully. They might seem strange, but it is extremely important that you follow the rules to a T. I could feel an ominous tension sweep through the atmosphere. Josh's sudden tone of severity was a stark contrast to his outgoing personality, and that frightened me. Got it. I'll read over them right now. Good. I'll be chilling in our room. Let me know if there's anything I can clear up. I flashed him a thumbs up as he shuffled back down the hall. Then, I pulled my phone out and snapped a picture of the yellowing, crumpled list tacked to the bulletin board. Josh wasn't kidding. Some of those rules were downright weird. Rules for Eaton Hall smoking of any kind is strictly prohibited. If the hallway lights start to flicker and the walls ooze a dark green liquid, return to your room immediately and call the front desk. Do not come out until you receive the all clear. Never leave your room between the hours of 2:13 a.m. and 3:26 a.m. The night janitor works on a tight schedule. You do not want to disturb him. Alcohol and drug paraphernalia are not allowed under any circumstances. If you receive a knock at your door from someone claiming to be the dorm electrician, politely inform him that the light in the communal restroom is broken. Do not open the door for him. We do not have a dorm electrician. If a letter from Dahlia shows up in your personal mini fridge, tear it into small pieces and flush it down the toilet. Ensure that you do not read its contents. If you come across human body parts for sale in the vending machines, do not panic. Inform the front desk, and they will be properly disposed of. No, they are not real human body parts. All guests must sign out before 11 p.m. Do not speak directly to the little girl in the lobby. Nothing good will come of it. If a man wearing an outdated bowler hat enters the laundry room while you are using it, do exactly as he says. Failure to do so will result in severe consequences. If you hear a loud screech from directly outside your window, lie flat on your stomach and cover yourself with your blankets. Do not remove them until you hear your door shut. No peeking. Most importantly, have fun. Here at Sutherland University, we take pride in providing a stress-free college experience with memories that will last a lifetime. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact your resident advisor. Stay safe. What had I gotten myself into? This had to be some sort of prank. I was pretty gullible, but even I wasn't that easy to fool. Honestly, what could I do, though? Slime oozing from the walls, body parts in the vending machines, no drugs or alcohol. It's not like I was ever going to find myself in a situation where any of those actually applied. Right? I slunk back into my dorm room and collapsed on my bed. Josh glanced up from his phone for long enough to acknowledge my presence before returning to whatever media consumed his attention. "Done reading the rules? Anything need clarification?" he asked, his eyes still glued to the screen. Yeah. What kind of stupid prank are you trying to pull? There's no way I'm believing any of that is real. Not for a second. You and Bryson can take your dumb joke and shove it where the sun doesn't shine. I seethed, crossing my arms and turning toward the wall. Geez, man, chill. I know the rules are pretty outrageous, and you probably won't even need most of them, but we didn't make them up. Still don't believe me? Here, read this. It's from last semester. The school tried to have it buried online, but I saved it before they could, he said, tossing his phone to me. I tentatively picked it up and began reading the news article that Josh had pulled up. What I read made my blood run cold. The body of a 20-year-old college student was found in a dormitory bathroom early Tuesday morning. The victim, who is yet to be identified, was a resident of Eaton Hall at Sutherland University. A call came into the local police station at 4:53 a.m., reporting a student's body lying motionless in the shower. According to the report, the deceased was covered in a green slime-like substance. No other details have been made public at this time. If you have any information that could lead to an arrest, police urge you to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-888-CASH. My jaw fell to the floor. I couldn't believe my eyes. But the evidence was right in front of me. The rules were real, and there were grievous consequences for breaking them. Sorry, I said, handing Josh his phone back. I used to get picked on a lot in high school, and I'd fall for stuff like that all the time. It's just such an insane thing to have to deal with. I didn't know. Hey, no worries. It's water under the bridge. I didn't believe it at first either. Once you have your first run-in, it'll wash away all doubts you still have, though. Josh shuddered, a chill rippling through his body. Just pray that your first encounter isn't with the janitor like mine was. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught in my throat. Assuming all of this wasn't just some massive ruse, I was in for a long semester. I didn't run into any problems until my second week. I was finally finding a decent balance between partying and getting my homework done when it happened. Hey, don't judge me. I was a sheltered kid my whole life. Of course, I was going to go buck wild the second I tasted an ounce of freedom. Anyway, Josh and I were on our way back from a house party that had been shut down by the cops, and we weren't exactly sober. By that time, we'd warmed up to each other and formed quite a bond. That bond was broken too soon. But I digress. Nah, dude. You were definitely shooting your shot the cute blonde chick at the pong table. Don't lie, man. I saw you. Okay, fine, I was. Too bad she has a boyfriend. We were really hitting it off, I admitted, holding the door for my drunken companion. He clumsily stumbled his way through as I followed suit. He looked real mad too when he saw you going after his girl. Should have kicked his ass. I might have if he wasn't a foot taller than me. Suddenly, it felt as if a bucket of freezing cold ice water had been dumped onto my back. I could sense a presence. Something sinister that lurked just out of eyesight. I'd been feeling the liquor, but that sobered me up instantaneously. Hello? Earth to Clay. You just blue screened on me, dude. You good? Yeah, I think so. Josh, do you feel that? I don't know, like, the anticipation. I feel like something's about to happen, but I don't know what. It's starting to freak me out. Nah, you sound like a psychic. I can't feel a thing, he said. I could tell. Josh's cheeks burned a bright red when he drank, a telltale sign that he would be zero help if shit hit the fan. The second the front desk became visible, I knew what was causing that tense feeling. My heart began to pound like a jackhammer in my chest, and sweat began to pool above my brow. Because I saw a pair of pitch-black eyes peeking at me from behind the counter. They quickly ducked back out of view almost as rapidly as they'd appeared. Tell me you saw that. I can't be the only one, I said as we grew closer and closer to the front desk. Saw what? I think you're losing it, bro. Nothing. You go on up to the room, okay? I'll meet you up there. I'm gonna grab a snack from the vending machine. Got it. I watched Josh stagger away, clumsily stomping down the hall. Then, when he was completely out of sight, I cautiously approached the front desk. As I came into full view, I noticed two things. One, to my surprise, there was someone working that night. And two, the little girl was sitting in the chair beside her. Maybe it was the alcohol, or maybe I was just feeling chivalrous, but that wasn't the first stupid decision I'd made that night. I should have just walked away. Hey, how's it going? I said, flashing a grin to the pretty brunette sitting before me. I immediately regretted it. The little girl stared at me intensely. Her soulless eyes sent a chill rippling down my spine. She was even more terrifying up close. She looked like Wednesday Addams if she died and went to hell. Her face was deathly pale, framed by perfectly kept black braids. Her dress looked far outdated, and I could have sworn that I saw little flecks of blood spattered on her shoes. But her smile is what frightened me the most. Her lips were curled into a wicked grin, her decaying yellow-brown teeth on full display for all to see. She'd obviously never heard of a toothbrush. "Oh, it's going all right," the RA said, snapping me from my trance. She didn't even bother to look up. So, I was just wondering, what's the deal with you-know-who? I whispered. Oh, Clarissa? She's all bark and no bite, as long as you don't speak to her. That, and I think it goes without saying. But don't touch her either. She really doesn't like that. And you don't care that she kind of just hangs out here all night? I asked, glancing back at the motionless child. All the while, Clarissa had that same sinister grin plastered across her face. I don't really mind. She's a pretty good deterrent for guys who try to hit on me, the girl snarled, finally meeting my gaze. Whoa, I wasn't trying anything. It's just that my curiosity got the better of me. Kara, I retorted, squinting to catch a glimpse at her name tag. Well, curiosity killed the cat. Take that to heart, she advised, returning to her phone. Yeah, thanks, I said, turning to leave. But before I could, a low, demented whisper caught my attention. It was quiet, barely audible even in the silent lobby, but I definitely heard what she said. Do you want to hear a secret? I locked eyes with the little girl, who somehow seemed to be smiling even wider than before. Her predatory glare sent adrenaline surging through my veins. Kara sighed, then looked up from her phone. You can't speak directly to her, but you can nod your head yes or no if you'd like. I'd advise against it, though. Whatever she has to say, it'll probably freak you out. A mental war raged on in my head. Was it really a good idea to communicate with that thing? Of course not. What was it that the rules said? Nothing good can come from speaking to her? I knew that I shouldn't. But again, my curiosity won out. I reluctantly nodded my head in acceptance. The little girl motioned for me to lean down to her level. I hesitantly did so. Clarissa cupped her hands around her mouth, her icy breath funneling into my ear canal. What she told me still gives me chills. I'm the one who puts the bodies in the vending machines. And on that note, I'll be going to my room. Good night, Kara. She grumbled incoherently to herself, staring holes into her phone screen. Needless to say, I did not get much sleep that night. My next encounter happened just 3 days later, and unfortunately for me, it wasn't nearly as tame as my run-in with Clarissa. I found myself in the common area of my floor, studying for an upcoming exam. Yeah, I had my first exam in my 3rd week of college. Ridiculous? Absolutely. But honestly, I expected nothing less from a school as strange as Sutherland. I pushed myself to stay up cramming well into the night. Normally, I'd keep the academics to my dorm room, but Josh had a girl over, so that meant I had to make other arrangements. After a couple of hours, I could feel my eyelids growing heavy, but that wasn't anything a little caffeine couldn't fix, right? I sipped intermittently from my Red Bull, trying to soak in as much information as I could. But at some point, I must have drifted off to sleep. My eyes shot open. I yawned, stretching my arms over my head. How long was I out for? I thought to myself, tapping my phone screen. My heart plummeted into my toes when I read the time it displayed. 2:12 a.m. No, this can't be happening. I didn't even bother gathering my study materials. I bolted to my room as the lights began to flicker. I frantically searched my pockets until I came to a nauseating realization. I'd forgotten my student ID in the room. That was my only way in. Josh, open the damn door! I shrieked at the top of my lungs, futilely pounding my fists against the hard wooden exterior. But Josh didn't hear me. I glanced to my left, and I nearly passed out when I drank in the scene before me. The lights were going out one by one, pitch-black darkness growing closer and closer with every blown bulb. It was like a cloud, one that swallowed up any surrounding light and snuffed it out. And in the midst of that endless black void, 2 glowing, hungry eyes. That was it. I couldn't wait around on the off chance that Josh might wake up. I darted to the exit at the end of the hall, praying that the janitor, or whatever the hell that thing was, wouldn't catch up to me. I slammed my weight into the door, and it didn't budge. I tried again and again, but my attempts were fruitless. Dread swallowed me like a python. Someone had locked us in. I flew to the door closest to me, screaming at the top of my lungs, praying that by some miracle I wouldn't end up like that student in the article. The darkness was closing in. There were only 5 light bulbs left between me and it. 5, 4, 3. The entity was so close that it could almost reach out and grab me. I squeezed my eyes shut, expecting to be yanked into a sea of black at any moment, never to be seen again. And then, it happened. I was dragged backward by the collar of my shirt. I curled up into a ball, waiting for razor-sharp claws to dig into my flesh. But they never did. To my utter shock, when I opened my eyes, I wasn't shrouded by some dark, malevolent haze of doom. No, it was bright. I hesitantly glanced up. Bryson stood above me, arms crossed. By the look on his face, I could tell that he was not happy to see me. "You didn't read the rules, did you?" he growled, his spiteful stare unwavering. I did, I swear," I managed to croak out. "You obviously didn't if the janitor almost turned you into minced meat. No, wait, it was Josh, wasn't it? He didn't explain the rules to you, that fucking asshole, trying to make me look like the bad guy, huh? Next time I see that stupid prick, I'm gonna smash his damn teeth in." Bryson's face was redder than a fire engine. I could practically see the steam wafting from his ears. Actually, it was my own fault. I was studying for an exam, and I must have nodded off in the common area. My bad, I confessed, rubbing the back of my neck. Ooh, no, I'm not believing that for a second. If you were really studying, then where are your textbooks, or at least some notes from class? Are you telling me that you were going over the lecture in your mind? Is that it? I sighed, remembering my abandoned spiral and chemistry textbook. I left my stuff behind. I wasn't thinking, I admitted, averting my gaze. Ha! That's a good $95 down the drain. Sorry to break it to you, but the janitor isn't a huge fan of literature. Bryson snickered. He looked almost pleased with himself, like he'd just told the funniest joke anyone had ever heard. Damn, that really sucks, I muttered dejectedly. There went all my alcohol savings for the semester. Shit happens. Here, get off the ground. You can sleep in my room tonight. We won't be able to leave for over an hour, Bryson offered, extending a hand. I gladly accepted it as he hoisted me up. Thanks, man. Geez, you get this whole room to yourself? I asked, surveying my surroundings. It was at least double the size of my own room, complete with a kitchenette and 2 full-sized beds. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit envious. Yeah, the other RA for our floor dropped out last week. The sheets are clean, if that's what you're worried about. No, I was just wondering. This is good, I replied, plopping onto the bed. I instantly melted into the mattress like butter in a frying pan. Turning out the lights. Night, Bryson said, plunging the room into darkness. Night. And thanks for saving me. I was just doing my job. Don't start to think you're something special. I tried my best to drift off to sleep. In a bed that comfortable, it should have been a piece of cake. But something was gnawing at my brain. A little voice in the back of my head that was itching to know more about my savior. A voice that I should have ignored. Hey, Bryson, you still awake? I whispered. I felt giddy, like a child at a slumber party. What? Well, that was rude. I was just wondering something. I mean, like, if that's okay. I get it if you... Just spit it out already, damn. I'm trying to get some shut-eye. Right, sorry. Why do you wear the same clothes all the time? Like every time I see you, you're wearing the same black shirt and ripped jeans. Nothing wrong with it, just curious. A long, uncomfortable silence followed. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I was seriously beginning to regret asking. I can't tell you. I furrowed my brows. He couldn't tell me? But why? It's okay, man. No judgment, Just drop it, all right? Yeah, sorry. I drifted off feeling completely unsatisfied. I still got the sense that something was up with Bryson, and now that I had him alone, I couldn't get a single peep out of him. Still, I wasn't going to throw in the towel. I was determined to get to the bottom of it. Looking back now, I probably should have left him alone. I awoke the next day feeling refreshed. That cushy mattress really worked wonders. I stretched my arms above my head and yawned. Morning, Bryson. Oh. I glanced over to Bryson's empty bed. It suddenly felt like I was doing something wrong, like I was trespassing in a restricted area. I leapt up and threw on my socks and shoes. I nearly beelined for the door, but I stopped dead in my tracks halfway there. My eyes landed on a note glaring at me from the kitchen counter. Steal anything and I'll gut you like a fish. You're welcome for saving your sorry ass. Damn. Straight to the point. Best to be on my way before... Wait. An idea flickered to life in my head. A devilish grin inched across my face as I turned away from the door. I had a few minutes to spare before I needed to get ready for class. And Bryson never told me not to snoop. I began surveying the room. If I was hiding something, where would I do it? Though it was bigger than my own room, there still weren't many places to stash evidence. Not to mention, Bryson kept things clean as a whistle. That in itself had left me gobsmacked. I'd thought his room would have been filthier than a pigsty. I zeroed in on the first place anyone would think of, under the bed. I wasn't really expecting to find anything. I mean, it was only a hunch. Bryson could have just been an eccentric kid who had a fetish for wearing the same smelly clothes every day for all I knew. But aside from all the cobwebs and candy wrappers, I did manage to find something of interest while fishing around under there. A scrapbook. Who keeps scrapbooks anymore? These things are ancient, I murmured, sitting crisscross applesauce as I flipped open the cover. Dozens of photographs greeted me. Most of them were grainy, and I could tell that they were probably taken with a cheap Polaroid camera. I carefully slid one out of its sleeve and inspected it closer. My eyes grew wide as dinner plates when I fully soaked in its contents. The photograph depicted 3 young men with their arms thrown around each other and huge grins stamped on their faces. All of them appeared to be around my age. Their clothes and hairstyles were all outdated, though. One of them even had frosted tips. Underneath the picture, written in black marker, was a caption that read, "Jerry, Randall, and Bryson, Fall 1998. 1998? That couldn't be right. That was about 25 years ago. Despite the year, there was no mistaking it. The kid in the photo was definitely Bryson. I continued to flip through the scrapbook. I started to notice a pattern in all of the pictures that made my heart ache. In every one of the photos, Bryson seemed genuinely happy. Happier than I'd ever seen him in my short stint at the university. He looked so vibrant, so full of life. Whereas now, it was evident that whatever light had once gleamed in his dull, sullen eyes had been snuffed out long ago. I continued to flip through the pages, studying the dates that were scrawled beneath the images. November 1998, February 1999, April 1999. And that's where they stopped. I couldn't find anything past April of 1999 in the entire scrapbook. What really happened all those years ago? I was snatched from my reverie by the ding of a student ID being accepted by the door. I hurriedly slammed the book closed and slid it back to its cobweb palace. I flew back to the bed I'd slept in the night prior just as Bryson pushed open the door. "Hey, I see you're awake." "Yeah, I was just leaving," I said, pretending to tie my shoe. "Thanks for letting me crash here. You're a real one." "Yeah, don't mention it." "Oh, and by the way," he said, marching up to me, "I found your textbook. I don't think it'll be of much use to you now, though." He pulled what was left of my chemistry book from behind his back and dropped it on the ground before me. It had been reduced to a tattered mess of shredded pages clinging loosely to a crumpled spine. I sighed. To be fair, he had warned me. "Thanks, I guess. I owe you one," I muttered, scooping up the ruined heap and trudging toward the door. "Hey, Clayton." I froze in place, spinning to face him. "What's up?" "You didn't happen to look under the bed, did you?" Shit. How did he know? No, why do you ask?" I sputtered, trying my best not to look guilty. Bryson glared at me, his cold, icy gaze sending dread pumping through my veins like venom. "I'll take your word for it. This time. Now get out." I didn't stick around. I bolted back to my room before I remembered the whole reason I'd ended up in that predicament in the first place. I didn't have my student ID. Having the guy at the front desk come let me in was a fuckload of fun, but I won't bore you with the details. Due to my little mishap, by the time I arrived to class, I was a whopping 5 minutes late, and the professor had locked me out. Great. Looks like I won't be needing a new chemistry book after all. Not after getting a big fat 0 on my first exam. Needless to say, my day had gone to shit. By the time I arrived back at my dorm room, I'd had enough. I opened the door to find Josh lying on his bed. He grinned at me smugly as I shuffled into the room. "Thanks for leaving last night, man. That girl gives some of the best head on campus." "Yeah, and thank you for answering the damn door, asshole. Either you sleep like a brick, or you were hoping to stumble across my mutilated corpse this morning." "Wait, what? I didn't hear anyone knocking. I thought you were spending the night in a friend's room or something." "Look, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have blown up at you. Last night I fell asleep in the common area, and when I woke up, the janitor was practically breathing down my neck. And on top of that, I forgot my student ID in the room, which left me fucked with a capital F. Jeez, bro. How'd you get out of there? Shit. And I thought my encounter with the supernatural sucked. Bryson let me crash in his room. Wait, what encounter? Was it Clarissa? She's a real creep show. Nah, this was the guy in the laundry room. You know, the one we have to listen to or else? Screw that. He can suck a fat one. I watched as a spark of defiance swept across Josh's green irises. I couldn't believe it. He knew better. Why would he do something so blatantly reckless? All the color drained from my face. No, Josh had to have been pulling my leg. You're joking, right? You didn't actually disobey him, did you? You know damn well what'll happen if you did. Look, man, I'm sick of this shit. Why should I have to conform to that guy's every whim? He's been dead for like 100 years. So what if I didn't give him a nickel for the laundry machine? He's not going to crucify me for it. Whatever punishment he has in store, I'll be fine. Nothing we can do now, I guess, I began, a knot forming in my stomach. I sure hope you're right. Josh wasn't in his bed when I awoke the following day. That wasn't out of the ordinary, though. He'd signed up for classes last minute, so he got stuck with a couple 8 a.m.s. Kudos to him for that. I certainly couldn't do it. I didn't start to worry until that evening. Josh would hang out with friends after class every once in a while, but he usually at least filled me in on where he was going if he didn't take me with him. We hadn't known each other for long, but I'd really warmed up to the guy. I was an introvert, so naturally Josh was one of the only friends I'd made. I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to him. After hours of deliberation, I decided to shoot him a text message. I didn't want to come off as a helicopter roommate, but I needed to know that he was okay. Hey bro, everything good? Just checking in. Haven't heard from you today. Josh hadn't responded by the time I laid down in bed. At that point, about 5 hours had passed, and needless to say, I was anxious. I had a sinking feeling that whatever was going on had a direct correlation to the man in the laundry room. When Josh didn't show up for the next 2 days, I knew that I needed to investigate. I couldn't just sit around and do nothing while he was potentially in danger, or worse. Kara was my first unfortunate victim. I don't know why I thought she'd be any help at all, but I had to give it a shot. Hey, I'm looking for my roommate. Have you seen him by chance? About 6 feet tall, brown hair, green eyes, kinda goofy looking. His name is Josh Matheson. No, I haven't, she replied, her eyes perpetually glued to her screen. All the while, Clarissa sat motionless in the chair beside her. That demented smile was still pasted to her lips, and her black, soulless eyes bore into my chest like a power drill. How Kara put up with her that often, I will never know. Gee, thanks a lot, Kara. Always willing to lend a hand, huh? Well, can you look him up in the system? Maybe see if he's swiped into the building in the last few days? Come on, I'm desperate here. Kara sighed, glancing up from her phone. No, I'm not at liberty to share that information. If you've exhausted all other options, file a report with the campus police. They should be able to help. I mentally facepalmed myself. Why hadn't I thought of that? Surely they'd be able to find some answers. Thanks, Kara. I'll try that. Yep, whatever. A creeping feeling washed over me as I walked away. I didn't think Kara knew anything about Josh's whereabouts, but something told me that Clarissa did. I hurried over to the police station. Long story short, they were zero help. The officer who took my report basically laughed me off. His best guess was that Josh was on a 2-day bender and had lost his phone. I could smell cheap booze on the guy's breath, too. What an ass. I felt defeated. Kara couldn't help, and the campus police were a joke. My roommate was missing, and nobody seemed to care. I finally had to confront one of the only options I had left. I really, really didn't want to have to interact with the supernatural any more than I had to. But I didn't have a choice. I'm not sure how long I waited in the laundry room. I plopped down into the sole, flimsy blue plastic chair that sat against the wall, waiting for who knows what. I'd never seen the laundryman before, and I had no idea how to purposely find him. Hell, I wasn't even sure if it was possible, but I had to try. I could feel my eyelids growing heavy. Between my lack of sleep and the low hum of the washers and dryers, I was inevitably lulled off to dreamland. I tried my best, but in all honesty, I never stood a chance at staying awake. Hey, kid. I was jolted back to reality by the sound of man's voice. It was rough and gravelly, like he'd been smoking cigarettes since the age of 5. My eyes shot open, and they immediately darted around the room, searching fervently for the voice's owner. But I couldn't find anyone. "Hey, kid." Then suddenly, I saw him. There was a man standing in the corner to my right, leaning against the white brick wall. An outdated bowler hat obscured his face from view. His outfit was replete with a brown blazer, khakis, and a pair of sleek black shoes. With my lack of historical knowledge, you could have told me that was Frank Sinatra, and I would have been none the wiser. My brows furrowed in confusion. I could have sworn that I'd looked there. It was as if the man had just materialized. "Hey, kid," he repeated a third time. "Hey, dude," I replied, standing from the uncomfortable kiddie chair. "That ain't a respectful way to speak to your elders," he said, meeting my gaze. His eyes glowed red, paralyzing me with fear. "Sorry, that was rude of me. I'm willing to look past it. If you do something for me," he grinned, a wicked smile inching across his lips. Yeah, what do you want?" "Give me a nickel. I got laundry to do." I stared at him blankly. "How long has it been since you've used these? It costs $1 now." "Look, kid, I ain't in the mood to negotiate. If you want to give me $1, fine by me. Hand it over." I took a cautious step forward, producing my wallet from my back pocket. I sighed when my eyes landed on the contents within. "Here, I've only got a 5, I said, slapping a crumpled bill into the man's outstretched hand. "Thank you kindly. If that's all you gotta say, I'll be taking my leap." "Wait." The man cocked his head to the side like a curious dog. "Did you really just interrupt me? Never do that again. Do you hear me? Fucking prick. What was so important that you felt the need to cut me off?" I shamefully met his burning stare. "Sorry. I came here to ask about my roommate. He's been missing for a few days, and I was hoping you might know something." The man twirled the $5 bill between his fingers, his visage melting into a pleased smile once again. "I don't answer to no one, but I'll make an exception just this once, on account of your generosity. What did the kid look like?" I released a breath I hadn't known I'd been holding. For a second, I thought I was going to end up as nothing more than a dash of blood on the linoleum. "He's about 6 feet tall, brown hair, green eyes. His name is Josh. He said you asked him for a nickel a few days ago, and he refused." "Oh yeah, I remember him. Kinda goofy looking, right?" "Yeah, that's him." That malicious smile returned to his face. The man's eyes burned bright with elation. I felt a chill ripple down my spine at the sight. "If I were you, I'd check the vending machines." And with that, the man turned and faded into thin air. My eyes grew wide as dinner plates. No, this can't be happening. I sprinted to the lobby as fast as my legs would carry me. I flew past the front desk and around the corner, where the vending machines sat tucked away at the end of a desolate corridor. I prayed to any god that would listen that I wouldn't find anything out of the ordinary, that the laundryman just had a twisted sense of humor. But my prayers fell on deaf ears. I came to a screeching halt before the 2 dust-coated machines. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the possibility of what I might find. Nothing could have prepared me for what I would see. When I glanced up, I immediately stumbled backwards. Tears shrouded my vision, and I could feel hot bile creeping up my throat. I began hyperventilating, and I fell to the wall for support. The vending machine to my right was filled to the brim with body parts. Each compartment oozed a deep crimson, steady streams of viscous liquid dripping down and pooling at the bottom. Eyeballs, fingers, chunks of a torso, arms, legs. They were all haphazardly strewn about the machine. Even a detached scalp with blood-spattered brown hair was available for purchase. One glance, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that the remains belonged to Josh. Because through all the blood and viscera, I could faintly make out the tattoo of Josh's family crest on the underside of a severed wrist. I couldn't hold it down any longer. I vomited all over the linoleum floor. I didn't even care. That shitty night janitor could have a field day cleaning that up. It deserved it. Hell, every entity in the entire damn college deserved that, and so much worse. Fucking animals. Every one of them. I don't know how long I sat there. I wailed, my lamented cries reverberating through the empty halls. Kara either didn't hear or didn't care enough to check on me. I wasn't surprised. By the time I'd managed to calm myself down, I bolted to the front desk, my eyes puffy and red. Maybe if I told someone, maybe if I just let somebody know, then whatever had put Josh in there could reverse it. Maybe there was some kind of protocol for this sort of thing. I shouldn't have been so naive. I began shouting at Kara like a madman. I was spitting out words faster than my brain could process them. The vending machines, body parts. There's body parts. And blood. So much blood. It's all over. My roommate, he's dead. Please help me, I begged, tears flooding my cheeks once again. Kara sighed and turned to Clarissa, who was nearly bouncing up and down with elation. Her pupils consumed the entirety of her eyes, but I swear I could make out something behind those empty, endless pits. Joy. The little girl's smile was the widest I'd ever seen it. Everything about her made me sick. Without even a twinge of emotion, Kara met Clarissa's gaze. Did Clarissa stock the vending machine today? Clarissa nodded her head fervently, her smile unwavering. Kara pursed her lips. Did Clarissa put this guy's roommate into the vending machine? Again, she eagerly nodded in affirmation, her neat black braids bouncing atop her shoulders as she did so. And where did Clarissa get the body this time? Kara asked to no one in particular, ensuring that she never made eye contact with the little monster with any of her questions. Clarissa leaned in close to Kara's ear and cupped her hands. I strained my ears, listening intently. Though it was soft, I could barely make out what Clarissa told her. The laundryman. Well, you have your answers. The laundryman killed him, and Clarissa put his body in the vending machine. You will be contacted at some point within the next 24 hours regarding a potential leave of absence and grief counseling. I am sorry for your loss, Kara said despondently, typing frantically at the keyboard before her. No, there has to be something you can do. Some way to bring him back. Anything, come on. What? You mean some sort of cult ritual? Sorry to break it to you, but I'm not Harry Potter. Look, your friend presumably disobeyed the laundryman's orders, and he paid the price for it. It's not like he hadn't been warned, Kara scoffed. I won't be discussing the matter any further. Please let me arrange the cleanup in peace. Fine, I spat. If you won't help me, then I'll call someone who can. I whipped out my phone and punched in 911. Kara rolled her eyes at me and returned to her monitor. Once the authorities heard that there was a murder in the building, they didn't hesitate. In a matter of minutes, I was greeted by 2 burly officers with matching crew cuts and a couple of no-nonsense attitudes. They were a big step up from the inebriated campus cop I'd talked to earlier. I sprang out of my seat to meet them, wiping a stray tear from my eye and extending a hand. I'm Clayton. Thanks for getting here so quickly. The pair stared at my outstretched hand like it had 7 digits before one of them hesitantly grasped it. Officer Langley, this is my partner, Officer Jenkins. Now, can you take us to the crime scene? I know that's a tough ask, but we need to see a body before we can call anyone. Yeah, it's just over here, I said, leading them down the decrepit hallway. I walked up to the side of the vending machines and stopped. I couldn't bring myself to go any further. It's in there, I said, motioning toward the glass. The cops shot each other a look before surveying the scene. They stared long and hard at the vending machines before one of them broke the silence. Hey, kid, your friend wouldn't happen to be a granola bar, would he? Officer Langley chuckled, restraining himself from bursting into a fit of laughter. Wait, there's no body parts in there? That's impossible. I was just here like 15 minutes ago. Well, if they were here, now they're gone, Officer Jenkins said, resting his hands on his utility belt. I rushed to his side and peered into the vending machine I'd seen my friend's eviscerated corpse for sale in moments prior. They were right. The machine definitely didn't contain any severed limbs, and it appeared that the only sign of red in the entire thing was an ancient-looking fruit punch-flavored Gatorade. Needless to say, I was dumbstruck. Okay, kid, You gave me a good laugh, but the only crime committed here is the sale of expired food. We're gonna be leaving now. Don't call us back here for this shit again, or I won't hesitate to book you for a false report," Officer Langley growled, shooting me a paralyzing glare. The pair turned to leave. I was speechless. At that moment, I couldn't form a coherent sentence if my life depended on it. All I could do was watch them go as my world crumbled around me. Officer Jenkins stopped as he passed me. He placed a hand on my shoulder and looked me directly in the eyes. "Look, if you need any kind of mental help, feel free to come down to the station and ask for me. We can get you in contact with someone, a therapist, a doctor, whatever you need, okay?" I slowly nodded. I was in such a state of disarray that his words barely registered. "I'm serious. Whatever you need. Take care of yourself, Clayton," Officer Jenkins said as he gave me a small wave and walked away. Next, I did the only thing I knew to do. I went up to my empty dorm room, and I cried. That moment replayed in my head over and over again like a broken record. I knew what I saw. Josh's green eyes shimmering back at me through the B4 and C8 slots. As much as I want to, that's an image that I will never be able to erase from my head. I sobbed and sobbed until I had no tears left to cry. I tried to focus on the happy times. I really did. But those nauseating images were seared into my mind's eye. Eventually, I just sat there. Josh didn't deserve that. He should still be here with me. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that Josh was right. So what if he hadn't given some stupid supernatural entity 5 cents? That didn't warrant a murder, and especially not one on that level. As I lay there and pondered, a deep rage began to consume me. A fiery determination blossomed within my chest. Suddenly, I knew what I needed to do. I was going to put a stop to these things once and for all, and I knew just the person to help me do it.